Welcoming you back to crypto's juiciest news, concluding the weekend and moving on to the week. Bitcoin hits 104,000 American dollars. It is still cranking around. Remember, we did finish off last week with the US debt downgrade from Moody's. And Moody's, friends, they are, not that really important. They're just, poo-poo ratings agencies. But you never know when it comes to a lot of these things, right? Everyone's like, oh, don't worry, let's shrug things off. And then you never know, big money might just sit on the sidelines and see if anything else is going to come out. Remember, that's very important because if the US debt gets downgraded, it might make their bonds more volatile as people just question the integrity of the purchasing power that they can keep when it comes to the US bonds. And we've actually been finding out in the background, like right now, the US Fed has been purchasing the bonds. They already have. I think they inserted something like 42 billion. So it is in like some very little Twitter accounts who are actually reporting it. Because, it's people who like bother to check the corners of the US Fed or whatever. But it actually is happening already. They start this program. They don't tell anybody what's going on until people start asking questions later on. And then they end up basically, it's kind of like funny how it works. They end up using some sort of like research team or like economic PhD nerds. They just grab their analysis, which conveniently says, oh, US Fed, you've actually got to print money and buy your own bonds because that's how you got to save the country. That's what they end up doing. It's kind of funny. Funny and sad as well. So funny for us because we're in crypto and our bag's going to pump. Sad for everybody else who's saving in the fiat currency and they were just wondering why they've been spinning their wheels for literally like a decade, right? It's because you need to be able to save in scarce assets. This is the ETH-BTC chart, friends. It's back down to 0.023. But we already know, like when you have a steep monthly candle drop like this, man, we're a long way away from friendship and kindness. It's weird how it's going to work out, man. Are we really going to get an extended cycle? ETH-BTC looks like it's so low and we almost have to get an extended cycle. I just want to show you what I mean actually by that. If I bring out the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio here, like what's going to happen? Are we just going to like just go, hey, up only, cycle's over? By the way, that's March 2026. What the hell? Okay, what if we do this? Okay, but now now you're in March 2027. I don't know how this is going to resolve, friends. When Ethereum was here, man, it was August 2019. Right, so we still had 1.5 years from that point until the peak of the cycle. Okay, I don't know if it's going to be exactly symmetrical. And another thing is, which we just have to be prepared. It is possible that ETH-BTC like just stops here. Okay, which is 0.034. Okay, it is possible for that to happen, right? And you might wonder, how is it possible for that to happen? Well, if Bitcoin, I know it's bad, but like if Bitcoin hits 200K, that's like a $7,000 ETH. If Bitcoin hits 300K, that's like a $9,000, $10,000 ETH. If Bitcoin hits 400K, right? But we might be getting ahead of ourselves because all the charts show Bitcoin has experienced already severely diminished gains, right? Severely, right? And everyone's saying, no, it's going to break, which is good. We want that for like the leverage copers, right? Because someone's going to have to FOMO by the top. This is the Bitcoin dominance. So what I'm going to do is play some Pumpy G music. Bitcoin dominance still hanging around here. Everyone's still complacent. Okay, this chart seemingly never, ever goes down. Not allowed to go down. But we're not playing this short-term stuff. Because we're here to win with the highest win rates, friends. If you want to be in the 1% of people where you're enjoying 1% basically win rates from everybody else, you have to work literally 1,000 times harder than everyone else. But this is friends, the biggest alpha of long-term holding is all you got to do is just wait long enough. And then you end up being in the upper echelon of retailers and everybody else participating in the markets. Because friends, the average person has a 6-month time frame. Now that average comprises of a lot of retail and traders who have 3 months. Yeah, an average of 3 months. And then you have the super long termers. Okay, so then it's like 5-10 years. So it skews everything. Okay, so that's why the longer you hold, the higher your odds are you leave the bottom 99% of people who are just fading in the short term. You're playing this long-term game. And that's because when you hold long-term, you get the ninth wonder of the world, as Albert Einstein calls it, compound interest is working for you in the background. Okay, it's compounding slowly. That's because they're printing money. Yeah, they're printing what, like 8% of the currency every year, whatever it is, and that's debasing the currency. So it's inverse compound interest, right? But it actually is. It is compounding for you. Okay, that's number one. Number two as well, you're betting just on growth, like humans to get smarter, keep building stuff. You're betting on the growth rate of just people, say, entering crypto, the tech, right? There's your two big edges. You know, that's why if you do leverage, you introduce a time factor on it. You're like, oh, I need you to improve or get worse. Let's say you're just betting long. I need you to improve a certain rate in the next 6 months. Otherwise, I get liquidated, right? That's why if you remove the leverage, you're like, look, I just need you to improve at any rate, and I'm willing to hold forever. And that, my friends, that's exactly how you win markets in game long term. But does everybody do it? Hell no. What are they doing? You know what they're doing. Trading, following everyone, trying to like buy the next, you know, JPEG coin, which is great, friends. You can trade them, but I'm watching everyone, bro. You guys don't know how to trade, like literally at all. At all. Their idea of trading is let's copy paste a dude. Let's copy trade someone who's just rinsing everybody. People are just, you know, moving positions all the time. But I know it's tough because like you're waiting for that big emphatic bull market. Like you have OTHERS-btc back to being red for the month as well. But I feel much better about this, you know. So just, you know, you don't want to get your hopes up too much. But just I feel like Marwai, Junie, and Julie, we're going to have green, and then we'll decide what to do from there. I mean, we just had like we just had 5 red months in a row. You know what I mean? We deserve some sort of green friendship. Now, I'm going to show you the global liquidity fractal with Bitcoin from my friend, you know his name, Carlin Talks Crypto. So it's right here. This is the global liquidity. We're ready for the next push at some point. I think I'm just using 86 days, man. It's just, I love you retailers, man. You guys you're just so cute and innocent. Like, you know, you're like, your heart's so tayyib. You know what I mean? That means in Arabic, like you just got like a yummy heart. Like just, you're so pure. You know what I mean? Like when you see a child coming out, like, oh, like they haven't sinned yet. You know, so it's so like welcoming in just how you guys like all just get, like guys and girls, like the spectacle you have around like your glittery eyes around, oh, something on the chart said we're going to go up and then go down and then we did and then go up. Oh, but just be careful when it comes to that, okay? When you get a bit too confident about these, people end up doing leverage. They probably are long leverage now. I said it will be very, very funny if we start moving up halfway and then the Bitcoin one breaks, but the Ethereum one continues. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. This does imply 3 months of friendship. Remember, it's global liquidity. And as a friendly reminder, just so everyone knows, because it's going to be very relevant, okay, for what I'm seeing out here. Just so you never forget, friends, Bitcoin follows global M2, the money printer. Altcoins and Ethereum follow the business cycle, okay? That's what it is. Now, actually, over time, yeah, we will probably become more like the stock market. As more people come into crypto and we make better use cases, which include stuff like subscription fees and stable coins. Maybe Peter's got something to do with it. Maybe Richard Hart is hoping to solve the crypto's $1 trillion problem. As we just add more stuff, maybe the gaming industry expands and it becomes like less fluctuating with the business cycle. We become closer linked to global M2 liquidity, which means our size is really, really big at that point. Do you want to know something interesting, friends, as well? Do you know the stock market? Okay, the stock market, friends, it has less correlation to the business cycle. And I've heard what people say, what they believe that is. And they say a lot, the biggest market caps of the stock market, you know, your Dr. Goggles, your Apples, your Netflix and stuff, they are all subscription based. So it's interesting, right? Because it's subscription based, they don't make you like front run 1 or 2 years worth of payments. You're just paying every month. So if there's a downturn and you're feeling bad, you don't like cancel your Netflix. Very interesting, right? Imagine though, Netflix wasn't like whatever it is, $20 a month. Imagine you had to buy two years in advance every time. Imagine you have to pay $500 for it. People might be like, you know what, I'll hold off on it. I don't have $500 now. But because it's paying like $20 every month, it's just like bleeding everyone out in the background. So a lot of the big market caps and companies, that's actually might be the future. How they like hack higher valuations, right? Now, I don't think the markets can be fooled by that for too long. But it's interesting, isn't it? That could be, that's where everyone's heading. Make everything a subscription. You never know, man. Cars, I mean, like when you have a car loan, that's a subscription. You know what I mean? You're paying that like, you know, every week, every month. So they turn everything into a loan. So I wonder, by the way, crypto helps that a lot, right? because you can automate it from a wallet and everything out here. So that's probably how, the direction everything is going to grow. I wonder if future crypto applications will also adopt this subscription stuff out here. You know? Now let's crack on with some news. Saylor has bought more Bitcoin. He's got an announcement soon. Okay, so it is interesting that Saylor does continue to buy. It's exactly what you want to see. And just for everyone at home, everyone out there all the way at the back, people buy when the token prices go higher. Bitcoin is no different. So this was Saylor's description. Never short a man who buys orange ink by the barrel. So this is it. Because he posted this, it means he's about to announce something. Okay, that's like his cue, right? He's been doing that. Let's actually look at the website, saylortracker.com. S-A-Y-L-O-R track, C-T-R-A-C-K-A-E-R, whatever. Tracker.com, Saylor Tracker. This is the site here. I don't even know how he gets the green. Maybe changes it. I mean, there's an Easter egg. So his average price is 69,300. Probably after these buys, it's going to crank up to 70K. And also, like proving every market theory, right, friends? He has bought more money in this little box than like his entire 4.5 years before that, right? There's more money in this box up here. So he's bought more Bitcoin above $80,000 and with way more money than he ever did here, which is absolutely wild. The first time he bought Bitcoin was 10K. That's when he bought. And he put in $250 million, okay? So he put in 0.25B, okay? How much is he announcing up here? They're buying 84 billion. Let's look at that, dude. Just look at that. He's buying 300x more capital worth after it's risen 10x. Let's play some Cracker G music. Objects in the universe. I mean, welcome to market. This is literally everything I talk to you about. It's playing out right now. Oh, man. 10K Bitcoin. He puts 0.25 billion. All right. Now they're going to buy 84 billion at 100K Bitcoin. And actually higher. Because remember, this is a 2-year plan with Microstrategy. But they have to wait for all the money to fill. Man, that's wild. And look, and just to let you know, this is the classic business cycle stuff where everybody takes on too leverage. Something's going to have a bad ending. We all know something's going to have a bad ending. But how far does it go first? That's the big question. Okay, that's how we're thinking about it. And personally, for me, I am not worried about crypto until Saylor's average price hits 100,000. Okay, when he hits 100,000, I'm gonna be going, hey man, I've got to put some real deep warning signs out there. It might not stop there. It would be lovely if it hits 100K, and then it's the final 2 months of the cycle, and then his average price climbs to like 120K and then 140K. And I'm like, okay, you lost the plot at 100K average price. Now your average price is 140K. It's over. I'm confident something like that where it goes parabolic, but we'll see. I mean, where's all this money coming from? Who's buying all this stuff, man? It's wild. It's all these companies, friends, because if you're curious as well, like when I ask these questions, I know the answers, but I'll show you. It's everyone in the stock market. Okay, what they've seen is, friends, this is the Microstrategy chart. Okay, this is where Saylor, his stock went down 99% in the early 2000s in the tech bubble burst. So this is what they're actually seeing, friends. What they're seeing is they go, wait a minute. Since this 2020, let's say 2020, right? Right here. Since Saylor bought Bitcoin, here you go, June, July 2020, the stonk is up currently 32x. Okay? It's 32x since he started buying Bitcoin. So he goes around and he brags about that. He says, since we added Bitcoin to our balance sheet, our stock is up, and he doesn't say 32x. He goes 3,200% since we just started buying Bitcoin. But, you know, it's funny when we say it like that. They still don't even use those words. They say, since we adopted a Bitcoin strategy, which is just hilarious. Bro, you literally just take money and you go buy the Ponzi. That's all you do. But like, no, it's a strategy. That's a strategy. But when you talk to them, Okay, they try to give you a mogging of your lifetime. What they say, friends, is they go, no, you don't get it. They're printing money. We're taking economic energy out in the economy that's leaking into the world and seeping currency debasement. And then we're putting it into crypto, the hardest form of money, purest form, mashed potatoes, yum, yum, yum. Guess who's having steak tonight? That they use these languages and words to just try to be like, whoa. It's like amazing. It's amazing. Like you just, that's what happens, friends. In this mania, so many people eventually like latch on and everybody cheers the same stuff. Like you completely forget all you're doing. You literally, you're buying a Ponzi pretty much. You know, but I'm using the word Ponzi as a joke. You get what I mean, right? Like everyone's gonna call it a Ponzi in the next bear market, 100%. Again, as I always do whenever these things go down, right? But people forget that. And I'll tell you right. And see, I have a baby doll. One of you my Telegram, okay? I forgot what it was. He said to me, Sommi, don't you think Michael Saylor's never gonna have problems because he survived in the past bear market? And I said, my friend, you're going to learn something about life in this next cycle. So what he's actually talking about, this was Michael Saylor's average price, friends. It was about $28,000 here, $30,000, and then Bitcoin went down to 15K, all right? So Michael Saylor was faced with the 4-year cycle mantra, yeah? And he ignored it. He said, nah, I don't believe in cycles. He literally says that, I don't believe in cycles. Because he believes that Bitcoin he uses this example in his interview, one of his 3-hour interviews, okay? He says, like Bitcoin is Godzilla, right? And you are in like a little pub, playing on a pinball machine. Yeah, and he's like saying this giant Godzilla comes in and just steps on your freaking building. He goes, what game mechanics are relevant for your little pinball machine? He goes, literally Godzilla has literally crushed your whole building down, okay? So think about this imagery, friends. This is how he sees Bitcoin. See Godzilla? This is how he literally sees Bitcoin. So it's interesting imagery that he says that, right? It's basically, friends, you got to be careful because he's basically saying, nah, screw the cycle. Screw it. Cycles don't apply to me. And that's why it's very dangerous, friends, when you have that still. Because basically the market's like, look, I'll give you a Hail Mary. Did you learn or no? And then Michael Saylor he's saying basically no. He goes, no. I got the purest form of money. Everything's going to be fine. So now his turbo leverage is going to be like becoming like, you know, hypergalactic jet fuel, right? Anti-gravity, space-time warping leverage. That's the type of stuff that we're going to move into. What does that look like? We'll see. You know, we'll see at the very. You won't know until the very, very, very end. Like it's getting silly now, but we don't even need silly. Like he's still buying momentum now. Okay, wait till you see, like, bro, you're literally buying the peak of a mountain. You know, that's going to be wild when we finally do see that, and hopefully that is accompanied with, you know, OTHERS-btc's up, altcoins are up, Ethereum's cranking, everything else. Other news as well, friends. Soylana's Q1 GDP is up 20% to 1.2 billion, while stablecoins jumped 145% to 12.5 billion. So Miss 80 has reported. Now, that's what they call so it's interesting, right? I have been saying since literally like 2022, I've been doing all my content here, highest value content in crypto for you. I call like crypto chains, they're like cities. So the swappings and like the stuff we do degeneracy acts on, it's a GDP of the city, right? So that's why there's no cash flow in a business here. It's a city, you know? Like, friends, what would you say, like, for example, oh, your city's worth nothing, even though there's 5 million people in there doing economic activity? Would you say the city's worth nothing? You'd say, no. The city's worth how we value a country. What they do is they add up all the transactions, what they call the GDP, right? But there's like nowhere where you can buy into the city and like earn their tax revenue or something, okay? So that's interesting, right? We don't value a city by the taxes that the local mayors collect. We don't value them by them, right? They're extracting from that, okay? We value the city, how much a city's worth by its GDP. That's another number we use. So it's interesting as well in crypto. That's how I saw it in crypto. That's why, because it's not like I thought of this. Like, oh, well, I'm going to find the answer right now. It didn't come to me like that. At first I noticed, that stocks have cash flow, and everyone says crypto has no value. And I'm watching, or you're watching the crypto industry hit 3 trillion. I'm like, dude, if we really had no value, obviously you guys are wrong about how you're looking at everything, literally totally. And it was like, no, it's all a Ponzi, it's all trash. I go, maybe it's not a Ponzi, maybe it's not all trash. Maybe you're just trying to apply your framework from what you already know, which is stonks, and maybe it doesn't apply to this, because we are not all equity. Crypto is pseudo commodity, half equity. It's in the whole industry. It's literally, it's like a restrictive equity, right? Restrictive is in restricted supply, right? So it's exactly as I mentioned it, right? It's something you've never seen before. I had to make a whole freaking name for it, right? So now we're seeing data. Look at this. They're calling it chain GDP. Interesting, right? How we are using these words. And they're calling it revenue, but also check this out, right? So Pump Fund, 257 million. Phantom, 164 million. Photon, Jupiter, all the fees. So, but I don't think all the fees might go to like the, the liquidity providers and everyone out here. I'm not exactly sure how they calculate everything, but it just, that's how we're meant to see it, friends. That's Metcalfe's law. That's literally Metcalfe's law. So Metcalfe's law, that's why the more people you get in a city, right, in Metcalfe's law, the more people who join a crypto, the value goes up squared, because there's all these nodes of people talking to each other. Okay, like this is visualized. You see the network nodes, right? Like if you just draw a circle here, right? If you just have one node, you are hanging out by yourself. But then if you have other people in here, look what ends up happening. Okay, you guys can all connect, right? And then you add someone else as well, and then they can connect to literally everyone else out. You see this? Now that the connections are like going literally exponential. You see that? You're adding more people. It's going. That's literally Metcalfe's law right there. So there's 5 here. There's 25 connections. And when there was only one person, it's one connection. So it's 1 squared 1, 2 squared 4, 3 squared 9, 4 squared 16, right? 10 squared is 100. So you're literally going exponential. That's why the more people in the city doing more economic activity, that's how your crypto is going to win. The thing is, though, you say, okay, tell me what economic activity? Because all we're seeing is degeneracy and JPEG swapping. Look, man, we can't put a label on it as like a bad thing. It is what it is, man. It's like we go back to early New York and all you see ladies of the night and people just drinking alcohol, going to pubs, and gangsters. It's like early city, right? Imagine you're like, oh, I'm fading this city, like just a bunch of gangsters and thieves and robbers. You know what I mean? You can't think that's a good idea, right? Because you're retail. You're with me, friends. We're getting in early, right? We are still earlier than the rest of the world, especially in Pulse Chain. And you're betting that other people are going to come in more. And when there's heaps of more people, the bigger whales and institutions want to pay more attention to it and join the actual city. Like, you got to think about New York City, friends. Let's look at New York City in the 1800s. Okay, I'm just going to look at a picture here. New York City, right? I don't think billionaires want to live here in the 1800s. We didn't even have billionaires. Yes? When did the billionaires want to live in New York City today, friends? Now today. Okay, now they want to. Why? The name, the GDP, all the businesses, everyone's rich there, everyone's got a law firm. You get it? But back then, I'm sure there was like another biggest capital of the world back then. Since it's the 1800s, it was actually probably in England, actually. Maybe England, whoever was a superpower. I'll look it up. So I actually just looked it up. It was Great Britain, right? So I look at Great Britain, 1800s. This is where the billionaires want to hang out with Hexy Bastard and everyone else eating tea and crumpets. Great Britain, 1800s. No one was thinking about New York back then. But obviously now, the $1 trillion question, what's going to be the New York City of crypto? Well, it's funny, we're so early, we don't even need to worry about that, man. We literally, the world, when they come in, they still have to go nuts with how they interpret things out here, right? That's the best part about being early. In other news of the day as well, Ethereum's gas fees have dropped to 3 cents, right? So you're probably wondering, right, it's a tough issue to grasp, because think about rents in New York and taxes in New York. High, yeah. Yeah, but why are they high? Why is the rent high? Why are all these costs there high? Because everybody in the world wants to live there. Because the demand is high. Yes, well, it's the same thing with Ethereum's gas fees. When they go up, it's because everyone wants to use them. But the thing is with crypto, we are commoditizing blockchain. So we're like, hey man, we don't really care about your decentralized block space. You know what I mean? Like we don't need it like that decentralized. We could just go to Solana. It's like, it's centralized, but like who cares? It's just way, way cheaper and faster. So now we're trying to find that balance of stuff over time, right? But Ethereum's gas fees dropping to 3 cents. It's not because, oh, well, we've made like 15,000 improvements. It's because DeFi is dead pretty much in terms of activity. But why is DeFi dead, friends? Well, we know why. It's because of the business cycle. That's why I showed it here for you all the time. The business cycle is still down after 30 months. It's going to be 31, 32 months. Below 52, friends. I count 50. Forget that line, okay? It's always coming back to a baseline. 52 is the real number where we get an alt season. So once we get that, people start to feel more confident with taking risks, but we're still waiting for that moment. Look at this. Treasury Secretary Bessent says, we're going to grow the GDP faster than the debt growth, and that will stabilize debt to GDP. So friends, I promise you, every single politician says this exact same thing, and they're wrong every time, okay? No one can outgrow because the GDP they need is so consistently high versus the debt, it's literally impossible. They just have to print money. Let's listen.
There is the growth, the potential growth of the debt, but what's more important is that we grow the economy faster. So what we've seen under the past 4 years, and what we inherited, I inherited 6.7% deficit to GDP, which was the highest deficit when we were not at war, not in a recession. So we've been trying to bring down the spending, and we are going to grow the revenue side. So we are going to grow the GDP faster than the debt grows, and that will stabilize the debt to GDP, which even Secretary Yellen and I agree is the most important number.
So, Bessent, friends, this guy, he is more important than the US Fed now. Okay, remember, this is Bessent because Bessent, he gives indications as to what they're going to do and how they're going to, like, you know, print the money, if you know what I mean. Government doing their liquidity stuff out here. Now, this is typical politician speak. What they say is they go, okay, we're going to have to spend money. And everyone says, what money, bro? We're broke. They go, no, don't worry. The money we're going to spend has a multiplier on it, and it's going to boost GDP. And the GDP is going to be way faster and stronger than the debt. So we might print, you know, 2% extra, but the GDP might grow at like, you know, 5.5. They sell it to everybody all the time like that. The problem is that they've been doing this for a long time, and the multiplier effect of when they print money, it's getting smaller and smaller. So if you want to know, friends, actually, when will we actually go off this fiat system? When will we actually move on to something else? It will be when we have a crisis, they print money, and the multiplier effect is like less than 1. Completely less than 1. Right now, friends, you know the multiplier effect when they first did the money printing, it was so big. It was something like for every $1 printed, you got like $3.50 of output. $3 or $4, 1 to 4, like the very first time they did it. It was like amazing. Like, oh my God, it's literally like the highest drug in the world. 1 to 4, I can just do this, print money, right? And do this. Okay, they take on more debt. Now it's something, it's ridiculous. It's something like you print $1, you only get $1.30. Yeah. So because they've been doing this for like 20 years, 25, I don't know how long they've been doing this for, especially since the GFC, right? So the multiplier effect is getting smaller and smaller, but by the way, they'll keep doing this as long as it's above 1. Yeah, they'll literally keep doing it, right? So eventually, though, there will be a point where they print, for every dollar printed, the GDP gap hole they can fill is only like 95 cents. And that's going to be, oh crap. Okay, so what are they going to do? We know what they're going to do. They're going to scam everybody. They're going to gaslight all you blue pill cucks out there in the back. You hear that? You blue pill cucks. They're going to scam you from the World Economic Forum and the Bank of International Settlements and all the other non-human intelligence interfered institutions out there in the world controlling the world because you're a little cuck. They're going to debase you 4-1. You're going to not know what hit you and they're going to tell you that you're better off because they're going to control your food supply. They're going to make sure you're well fed. They're going to give you 18 more jabs and you're going to say thank you even though you're a cuck. You hear that, you little blue pill cuck? That's exactly what's coming for your future. Now, the thing is, I don't know when that's going to happen. Good thing is, you and I don't really need to worry, okay? Because the sheep haven't woken up, all right? Not even close. So you and I are long crypto. They can't print more of the BTC, can they? They can't print more of the Ethereum. They can't print more even of our stuff. It's our own monetary policy stuff. So all those blue pill cucks, they're still living in the blue pill world. They're sheep, watching the TV, getting brainwashed and programmed every day, okay? Yes, they believe every single coincidence happens. They believe in this bullshit like Occam's razor. So everything they're fed, they just believe. Okay, they don't ask any questions. Good. Okay, whatever. Just stay over there. All right. They're the people holding the bag. Yeah. So when the money's being printed and it's robbing someone, they're getting robbed. It's going to BlackRock, who are buying more property, who are buying more BTC, who are buying more Ethereum, just using their money. So that's exactly how it's going to end up. And we're just waiting for the next world crisis. That's why, friends, Bitcoin correlates to global M2. That's why Satoshi, friends. That's why literally Satoshi. Right, he noticed something. He noticed back in 2008 when we had BTC, he's like, wait a minute, Mr. Government, I've noticed a pattern. Every single time there's a crisis, you guys print and debase the currency. How about I make currency using technology that you can't debase? There you go, friends. That's the birth of our whole industry. So welcome to the real world. Treasury Secretary Bessent says the US is doing peace deals, trade deals, and tax deals. So that's just a general statement out here. I think President Trump right now, friends, between now and the next 24 hours, he's on the phone to Vladimir Putin. He'd probably be telling him stuff like, you know, Putin, when I see you, I'm just going to kiss you on the top of the forehead and rub your head for good luck. And he's trying to make a deal. He wants to stop the violent war between Russia, Ukraine. And then it'll probably be like, you know, helping oil and stabilization of stuff. More information here. Secretary Bessent says the US does not want to decouple from China, wants to open up markets and restore balance. Yeah, not many people know this, friends. China, they have a closed economy. So no one outside of China can invest in their own stuff. They have laws where like for you to own anything in China, like even own a property or a business, whatever it is, there has to be a Chinese citizen and they have to have like 50% or something, right? I know what the rule is. You know what I mean? Every time I say this, someone comes out and goes, no, you don't know the full law. Bro, just shut up. We know how it works, okay? All I remember and all I know is, which is true, China invited Uber to set up a freaking office in Shanghai or wherever it was in like 2013. They said, hey, Uber, come here. And they made Uber. And then after 3 years, literally, they walked in with guns and they said, hey, Uber, get the truck out of China. This is our building now. Everyone in Uber left. They had to leave all the technology. China just literally copy-pasted literally everything and they renamed it to whatever it is called like WeWoo or something. And there you go. That's a Chinese Uber. Do you know what I mean? So that's China, friend. If you want to know, that's like China. This is a growing economy, trying to overtake America. There's copy-pasting stuff out here. You know, so people are still shocked by that story. Like, dude, that's like, how do you know that? How don't you know that? But like, you don't hear about that too much in the media because all these politicians, it's all about the trade, man. If they don't trade with each other, then basically they both lose. We'll continue trading with China, especially non-strategic goods and at lower tariff levels. So more generic BS politician talk that mean nothing to us. Okay. Unfortunately, friends, former President Uncle Joe Biden has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Of course, our conspiracy hats are going to come on for that. And people think, did he have it the whole time? Did they know? Or are they just waiting to say it now? Yeah, because it's been enough time. Yeah, it's just all the timing of these news and these coincidences. It is what it is, man. Obviously, yeah, cancer is extremely painful for everyone. I hope we get the cure one day. Maybe there is the cure out there, but you know, improving quality of life at the speed they're going. Like, here's the thing, man. I just reverse engineer everything that we know about. We know the banking system's rigged. That's how I got red pilled into life was crypto. Yeah. Because once I saw crypto, and I was like always panicking when crypto would crash right at the end of 2018. I'm like, wait a minute, why isn't this like tulip mania? And I didn't understand it until I had to read. And then finally, I kept forgetting the reasons. And the real reason is tulips grow from the ground. Anybody can plant seeds. But with Bitcoin, not everybody can mine BTC. But it will still give you a heart attack because anybody could just go make another network. Okay, but you didn't understand crypto early enough for most people because they believed every network's the same. But they're not. But that's why it's confusing because you're on the internet. See, you will never think that the city of New York is the same as like some African tribe city in the middle of Africa, right? You'd be like, nah, they're different. There's businesses here, there's no one here. But in the internet, you can switch between them in 2 seconds. So it's very scary because you think like, oh, my thing was just overvalued, right? What is this thing really worth? Bitcoin when it first hit like $20,000 and it's back down to 4, 5, 3. They're like, wait a minute. Why is this thing worth anything? We could just make like 50,000 Bitcoin caches and stuff, So that was why it was very, very scary. That's why it took a lot of balls for someone like Richard Hart and Andreas Antonopoulos and Da Vinci J15 to just hold on to the BTC network, because imagine they got it wrong. And then there would have been just a nobody story. They're like, oh, you had, 48 million at one point and now it's zero, now like, Richard Hart's got billions, but imagine we lived in another world where you could commoditize decentralized block space earlier. So you learn and pick this stuff over time, and that's why we're ultimately going to win. That was the ultimate red pill stuff. The finance stuff changes your life the fastest financially, and then I reverse engineered that, kept going, and when I started to learn about the UFO stuff and watching Joe Rogan, I was like, wait a minute, these guys don't sound nutty. And I started investigating, and then obviously I did not think, man, I got over 50 UFO videos, friends. I could literally make 500 more. Oh man, there's so many people in that industry I just want to interview. They're really smart. If I'm telling you now, they are really smart. I'm like, dude, just get into crypto, just change your life, because these people aren't even making any money, man. They work normal jobs. They have to use certain words because they have like maybe an employer. They don't want to piss people off. You know what I mean? Like you're just in crypto, we're like totally opposite. Crypto you get paid if you piss poor people off, which is funny. And then always it leads me back to the health industry. Okay, well, I know nothing to do with the health industry. Yeah, I go to the gym, basic diet, but I mean like the real side of the health industry, right? And I'm like, well, if the banking system's corrupt and money's fully corrupt and central banks and they assassinate presidents who want to go off the dollar and stuff, if that all happens and they have UFO tech and the science field's corrupt, I go, well, why would health be legit? There's literally nothing telling me that you can trust any of these, right? When there's government involvement in all of them. Guess we'll see what happens, right? When it comes to BlackRock and BTC. Right here, friends, is the Pulse Chain prices. Pulse Chain core coins swinging around, nothing else really to do because Ethereum's, friends. Ethereum under 3,000, under 2,000, forget it. Okay. And by the way, even at 3,000, it's still garbage, Now, I want to quickly show you something. Here's Pulse Chain price right here. So everyone's still in the waiting game, continuing the month of Marwai. Is it going to be selling Marwai and go away? Could still be, friends. You never know. Like this is what 2021 was like. Do you remember everything was just fine, and then like one day everything's just down 70. Like it's literally in this 3 to 5 day period, everything's down 75%. Bitcoin's down 50. Altcoins are down 75. Literally just one day, and it was selling may go away. I'm not worried about this one now because altcoins are low, the business cycle's low. So I see because you got to think about if we do go down. We've already got strong hands here. So I don't care about that, right? We don't have any weak hands. Now, after seeing this, I will keep showing you this chart all day. This is like our North Star. Okay. Crypto is an industry like, let's not lose, forget 4-year cycles and like Michael Saylor leverage and forget all them. Okay. Forget all them. Like, let's look at the forest. Let's not look at the leaves. Let's not look at the pubes. Let's look at the forest as a whole. Is this crypto industry worth $3 trillion for the next 4 years. I say absolutely 0% chance. Zero. No way. No. That's way too slow. That's way too low, okay? We are not worth that little amount. And I've added here all the world assets by comparison, man. We're at 3 trillion. Stocks are 150. You know, there you go. You don't even need to go anywhere else at that point. Like, you're like, you know what, man? At least give us 10% of stocks. You know what I mean? Give us... We're global. Right? Crypto's international, global. Stocks are 150 trillion. Give us 15 trillion, right? But when's it going to give us 15 trillion? That we don't know of. So that's why I'm like, I'm not concerned about a bear market whatsoever. At all. And by the way, if we got to 5 or 6 trillion, that might be fair value. So some people are going to get nervous. And I'm like, look, man, I believe we're at fair value now. Like, I learned off Warren Buffett. You don't sell at fair value. Yeah, you sell when they give you a premium. You just stay long until like things get premium heavy, right? So what would a premium be? Maybe 10 to 15 trillion. By the way, we're talking huge numbers, man. Because 10 trillion is maybe 200K BTC. 15 trillion is like 300K BTC. Like everything, that's Ethereum could be $20,000, like, you know. So we'll see how it goes. All I know is 3 trillion's way too cheap. I'm not scared about 5 or 6 trillion. Let's think about sweating when we get to 10 trillion. Like, subscribe, Billy Button, all. Catch you in the next one.